supervise. Okay. I'm lost without it. We'll skip the invocation this evening and go straight to the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll have Vice Chair Larry Rankin lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you please stand?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated.
Can we get a roll call, please?
Chairperson Zurcher,
Here.
Vice Chairperson Rankin,
Here.
Commissioner Laney,
Commissioner,
Commissioner, Commissioner Griffiths,
Here.
Commissioner Evans,
Here.
Commissioner King,
Here.
Commissioner Rutherford.
Here.
Next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes from the September 12th, 2022 meeting. Do we have a motion to approve those minutes?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the minutes from the September meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second, Mr. Chair.
So moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All right, moving on to announcements. I'd like to formally welcome Bruce Evans to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Commissioner Evans, would you like to say anything?
Yeah, just really briefly, my wife and I escaped Southern California about 3.5 years ago. We're incredibly happy to be here. Got involved with the town through the Citizens Academy and also kind of opposing a neighboring development. And my background's in financing for commercial real estate, although to be honest, the zoning side of it's kind of new because that's usually done before they show up at the bank. But it's a very vibrant town, lots of challenges. Looking forward to learning more about the process and making a contribution. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Any announcements from staff? All right, seeing none, we will move on to our public hearing item, and we'll also include the action item on this as well. So, zoning map change 22-008 upon the application of Purvis James and Jonna M., a request for a zoning map change from C2 PAD, Industrial General Limited Planned Area Development, to C3 PAD, Commercial Minor Industrial Planned Area Development, on approximately 5.72 acre parcel located at the southeast corner of Market and Great Western Drive. And accompanying that is Preliminary Development Plan 22-010 upon the application of Purvis James T. and Jonna M., a request for a preliminary development plan to construct a self-storage unit facility consisting of 590 units located within the subject parcel at the southeast corner of Market Street and Great Western Drive. And presenting this evening is Jessica Berrigan. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. And Jessica, welcome. I know this is your first time presenting before the commission.
Yes,
So
thank
welcome.
you for having me. Chair, Vice Chair, and Commissioners, before you this evening are two requests by the applicant James T. Purvis for the zoning map change 22-008 and preliminary plan development 22-010 for JT Storage. This is a proposed 590 unit self-storage facility with 33 RV parking spaces covering approximately 6 acres of the vacant land. The property is, let me change this. The property is located on the northeast side of the Glassford Regional Marketplace on the southeast corner of Market Street and Great Western Drive. It is currently zoned C2 PAD, General Services, Sales and Services, and it is within the commercial land use designation, or community commercial land use designation. So here is the slide to show location. The first request is to rezone the approximate 6 acres from existing C2 PAD zone to C3 PAD zone. The zoning map change and preliminary plan development covers the entirety of the parcel, APN number 103-09-083, M as in Mary, with primary access proposed at the southeast corner off the future Jasper Parkway. After submission of the initial staff brief, it was revealed that the proposed rezone to C3 would deviate from the town's general plan and will require a minor general plan amendment. And as such, staff has recommended to table the request in order to further consult with the applicant regarding any additional requirements to move forward.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you, Jessica.
And any questions, the applicant is here.
Before we go to have questions from the commission, I'd like to ask the applicant to come up just for a very pointed question for you. Go ahead and state your name for the record, sir.
J.T. Purvis.
So, Mr. Purvis, this evening, due to the fact that this rezone would require a general plan amendment, I need to ask you flat out if you want to proceed at this location for this development, and if you are going to go indeed out for a general plan amendment.
Yes.
Okay. So one of the things we can do this evening, if that's okay with you, or if you feel it's premature, is we could actually ask questions of staff and you as the applicant, and just you can get basically general feedback from the commission this evening. But just know that we will be voting to table these items until everything is heard at the same time as a general plan amendment.
Okay, can I ask why it should be tabled?
Because we have to have a general plan amendment to actually execute a zoning map change.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's why I'm asking you flat out, if you are wishing to proceed, if you think it's premature, we can basically stop this meeting right now, table it, stop it, adjourn it, and you come back whenever you're ready. Or, like I said, you can hear, our feedback this evening, it's kind of, officially unofficial. It's up to you.
That's appreciative, yes. I'd like to move forward.
Okay? So that's what we'll do. I'll ask Jessica to come back up, and we'll just kind of take it as normal, and we'll go from there. Thank you, Mr. Purvis. Continue, Jessica, if you have anything else.
I don't have anything further.
Okay. So at this time, I'll open up to questions from the commission. Vice Chair Rankin?
Jessica, and welcome.
Thank you.
Look forward to working with you. When we come back with the general plan amendment, is there a chance that we could get an idea of a layout or a plan of what Jasper Parkway is actually going to be? I mean, right now, we've never been, at least the commission here, we've never been given a plan to know if it's 2-lane, 4-lane, has a divider or anything like that. If we could just kind of get a general idea, that would be appreciated.
And I think Fernando can actually answer that question for you.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair. To answer your question, yes, by all means, we'd be happy to provide the members, the commission, a rendition of what Jasper Parkway will be looking at. We have issued a permit for Jasper Parkway. We are waiting for additional bids to come through so that we have a start date on construction. It is going to be, just preliminarily, it's going to be a 2-lane at this time, 1 ingress, 1 egress off of Jasper Parkway, 24-foot, 12-foot wide spaces or roads on each side. It is just preliminary at this time, but I'd be happy to supply the commission with the rendition.
And so, Fernando, kind of maybe helping out the commission, if I'm not mistaken, Jasper Parkway is going to be built just like the Viewpoint extension was, where it's 2 lanes right now, and then it can be widened to 4 in the future, correct?
That is correct. Full build out, it'll be 4 lanes.
Okay. All right. Jessica, come on back up. Any other questions of staff from the commission? Commissioner
Mr.
Rutherford?
Chair?
Oh,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh.
I have a question or two. Actually, it's a 3-pronged question about security. Will there be an attendant on site, or will access be entirely by key card? Will there be 24-hour surveillance? And how will the inevitable attempt to live in one of the units be controlled?
I believe the applicant can answer that. I know that there is a unit for a manager to be on site. So I believe the applicant might be able to better answer the surveillance question.
We'll have the applicant come up and after we're done with questions of staff from the commission, so definitely we'll do that. Any other questions, Commissioner Rutherford? Did you have anything else? Okay.
Not at the moment.
Commissioner Griffiths.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Miss Jessica, welcome.
Thank you.
Nice to have you.
Thank you.
I have one question, and it was in the agenda report, item C. It says the only use permitted on the property is mini storage operated in compliance with an approved final development plan. It's my understanding that when you change zoning, the entire zoning overlay is the property, and you cannot ever restrict that zoning to one operation in perpetuity. So
I'm gonna consult with my
I'm concerned that this
director here.
statement was in the package.
Member Griffin, actually, there is a provision in town code that would allow us to restrict the use of a zoning on a specific property. So we can restrict the specific use in a higher density district like a C3, and that's only to safeguard the community from them coming before and saying we're going to do a mini storage, and then when we get the rezoning, change it to a different use. So that kind of secures us from knowing that the project that we're talking about and approving today is the project moving forward.
Forever and ever.
Forever and ever.
So when this comes back for the general plan amendment, and I'm assuming this same statement could very well be in the package, I'd like the town code called out.
Yes, ma'am. We will have that for you. We did something similar with quality collision, if you may remember that. We changed the zoning from C2 to C3, and we specifically said only use in the C3 will be the auto body repair shop, if you may remember that.
Thank you, Fernando.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the commission for staff? Seeing none? Well, thank you. And
Thank
if
you.
there's anything else, we'll have you back up.
Excellent. Thank you.
So, Mr. Purvis, I'll invite you up, sir. As the applicant, you can introduce whoever you want to introduce. Definitely, I know Commissioner Rutherford had some questions for you, but also it's now our time to ask any questions of the applicant or even make any comments about this project. So I'll go ahead and have you, Mr. Purvis, go ahead and answer the questions that Commissioner Rutherford raised.
Okay, you want to give me that question again, please?
It was, will there be an on-site attendant, or will access be entirely by key code? Will you have surveillance 24 hours? And how do you intend to control any attempt to live out of one of the units? Were you able to hear me? I didn't hear
ma'am.
my...
We have it designed for a manager's facility on site. With technology the way it is today, it's almost totally electronic, where you don't need a person on site necessarily. So we have planned it. It's not that we may not put that in, but we've designed it to be there if we feel that it's necessary with that size of a project. Of course, we will have surveillance cameras throughout the project, and especially with the new technology of all the key card codes and everything, where it's basically unattended. We have access of 24-hour surveillance on it.
Good. Have you anticipated the possible attempt to live in a unit? You hear of that sort of thing happening all over the country.
Oh, you're talking about people living in the rental units?
Yes, the way they would in a car on the streets, the same idea.
That's going to be tough for them to do when there's no utilities and stuff in the unit per se.
Well, there are none in the car either.
I might ask my partner involved that owns a tremendous number of storage units. How do you address that?
Sir, go ahead and state your name for the
I'm
record.
Justin Scott,
Thank you.
and I'll be partners with JT. So we handle it through new technology that allows us to visually see every single door, every single locker, and every single locker can be managed by us remotely. So we can open and close, lock and unlock any storage unit. It was really designed so that if someone didn't pay on time, you could lock them out without putting a double lock. But from the very minute you enter the gate to actually going into the facility, you won't be able to access a unit without our A, being able to see you move throughout the facility, and B, every single unit will be locked at all times if it's not leased. So there is no possible way a person could live within the facility. We also will be in a position where we like to shut them down at dark and then open them up no earlier than light, so that we don't have anyone coming and going and accessing the facilities past normal working hours.
Sounds very efficient.
Yeah, and we also work hard to use landscaping that will be drought tolerant, and also smart irrigation clocks for the purposes of making sure that we measure precipitation as it comes about.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Levy.
I have a question. You say it will be electronically monitored 24 hours a day. Is there going to be a human watching the monitors? I mean, it's fine if it's being recorded, but can they respond if there is an issue?
Yes, so if there's motion, once we set the parameters of the time, once the gate locks for the evening and doesn't open until the morning, we'll have motions within each area, so that if there's movement, that will automatically set off an alarm, which would be more like a call center, that then that call center calls the manager to get up if they're sleeping and look at the cameras to see what caused there to be movement within. Doesn't set off an alarm, but it just sets off an internal alarm so that we know something's moving within the facility.
Okay, so versus somebody sitting and looking at monitors,
Right.
you've got an alarm system that will alert them, and then they would get up and respond.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really interesting how the technology has just gone. It's just incredible, the amount that we can do by not being on site. So like JT said, we'll set it up so that if it needs to have someone on site, we certainly have an office on site, but we don't need to be on site anymore to lease a unit. Everything is done online. You're actually issued your codes to the gate and to your individual locker remotely.
What about if the police need to be called?
There'll be a Knox box at the front gate, so they'll have full access to the facility just like they would any private community with a gate.
But how would they be alerted?
Well, we'll also have the ability to have an alarm, so that if the gate is jarred open, it will set off an alarm just like you would hear, just like your front door at your home.
Okay.
And Commissioner Rutherford, I just want to make sure, were your questions answered?
Yes, they were.
Okay. Commissioner
you.
Griffiths, I know you have some questions.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Scott, it's nice to see you. Thank you for bringing my smart irrigation meter forward. I didn't even have to ask for that tonight. Kudos.
Thank you.
So to both you and Mr. Purvis, what is your primary philosophy about wanting to place this horrendous, huge storage facility in this location? Tell me your thought process behind
I
that.
can do some of it. Well, probably the major component is that through the appropriate landscaping, the height of the actual units themselves, and the wall decorative aesthetics, we think that it will look as aesthetically pleasing as just about anything we could put in the area. I mean, we could put a Dollar General or something that's just a metal building. That too, whether you call it horrendous or you call it not pleasing, is one issue. The biggest driver, I would say, is that when you draw a circle around that area, there isn't a mini storage facility anywhere near. And so you have so many rooftops without a storage facility within miles of that area, that it will be, I think, a big plus to the area. And then you have the apartments above and more planned. So I think it'll be a wonderful service, at least from the perspective of accessibility, not only to the retail that's along 69, but just the general area. The location was perfect.
So I'm sure we all agree storage facilities are desperately needed. Are you both familiar with the storage unit that's on 6th Street in Prescott?
Yes.
Have you considered, or would you consider constructing that type of unit on this acreage?
Well, we haven't got to that point to actually lay out the design other than just the layout of kind of
Okay.
like the building footprints. But certainly we'll look at all different products and building types.
Perfect, so that is a possibility.
Sure.
And that is actually one of the things I would recommend you have when you
That would-
when you come before us next time.
Okay. And just out of question, the changing the master plan, could you walk me through? I've never done this before. That step. What's the timeline for that?
I'm sure, give me a second.
Okay.
We'll finish questions of the commission. What we can do
Okay.
is then have Fernando come back up and we'll go over the timeline with you on something like that. Vice Chair Rankin, you got some questions?
Yes, I have just one question, and that's, you're kind of reliant right now on Jasper Parkway. Do you have any, I'm going to call it a Plan B, if Jasper is delayed for a long period of time?
Yeah.
We could go ahead and build this just off of Great Western itself. But due to the aesthetics of Jasper going through, we've designed it to fit on Jasper because it would be more appropriately done there than off of Great Western. So we know it's going to take time for that to happen, but it's going to take us a year or so just in design, drawings and everything. So we're kind of figuring we're going to come to the table maybe at the same time Jasper's done. But if it's not, we can still access it from Great Western on there. But we'd rather not, we do have an access here, but we'd rather have it front in Jasper if we can, because that's the logical place to put it aesthetic-wise with the walls and everything that are involved.
Because from Great Western, you're going to have
It comes
definitely a
down.
down that you'd rather not have to deal with.
And we'd hate to build it on Great Western and have Jasper come in and say, gosh, we just built it backwards. We'd rather have it the other way around.
Definitely
But
makes sense.
we can't get into what style are we going to build and everything until we know if we got zoning. We don't want to spend a fortune trying to design and develop stuff until we know for sure we got zoning in place to move forward with this.
Totally agree and understand, Mr. Purvis.
And as you can tell, why Justin's involved with the younger new technology, I'm kind of along for the ride because he is my nephew, so that's why it's all in the family.
And when I recommend conceptual drawings and so forth really do help the commission with regard to its deliberations. So anything just conceptual will definitely help in the future.
Sure.
Any?
He's part of our guru.
I would like to see some kind of a traffic study because there's a part of this. Are we feeding into the street?
I can always tell an applicant, the more information you provide us, you make our lives easier when it comes to making a decision. So the more information we receive, the better off we are, and the better off you are. Oh, you can over-indate us. We're okay with that. We would rather be over-inundated.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Tom Fiuso. I'm with Granite Basin Engineering. We did the planning for Mr. Purvis. If you look at that slide that we have up there, the reason why we're trying to stay on Jasper is because if we don't, like Commissioner Rankin said, that we'd have a large downhill from Great Western, and we'd even have a larger fill wall on the Jasper side. Right now, that line of sight that we're providing isn't going to change for the residents to the east of us towards Glassford Hill.
Well, it looks on that property that your cut and fill is
Yeah,
going to
we're
be pretty
balancing it.
even.
Yes.
Okay. No, in fact, when this first came to my attention, I thought having an ingress-egress was better on Jasper Parkway than Great Western because with the abandonment of the Market Street right-of-way, that really made it so you really have no choice but to really go onto Jasper Parkway.
Yes.
That's part of why when they ask us to realign our property lines and give them some and take some, we were more than happy to accommodate because it really helped the road, but it also helped us at the same time as well.
Okay. Any other questions from the commission? Do you have anything else to add this evening? I mean, there's not a whole lot, again, we're not going to be voting on this tonight, but if you want to add anything, please do.
I know one of the things that was brought up was about a traffic study and account, which can't be done if there's not a road there to get a traffic count on. But one of the things when I had the original hearing, we had people say, well, is it going to increase the traffic in the area? Actually, it decreases the traffic. If we'd built a commercial strip along there, the amount of traffic that would come and go to that would be significantly greater than a mini storage because the traffic flow in a mini storage unit is very minimal because people don't go there every week. It's every so often. So actually, we're going to reduce the traffic for that 6 acres compared to if we had just built out regular commercial projects in there. So I think that's a benefit as well to the neighborhood at the same time.
Mr. Purvis, when you just said when you had the original hearing, was that your public hearing?
The public hearing was when people showed up, neighborhood
Yeah,
meeting.
neighborhood meeting.
Because our package says that just one property owner attended the meeting.
That's true. And that's the one that asked the
Okay,
questions about the
perfect.
traffic.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Evans?
Yeah, just one question, again, on the traffic issue. Within the industry, is there a rule of thumb, like trips per number of units per year, just to give us an idea of what you expect the volume to be?
He's the one that has all the storage units, so he has all those numbers.
Okay.
Based on the 590 units, it would be estimated that we would get 16 visits a day.
16, okay.
Yeah, after it's stabilized and rented to about a 92% occupancy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay?
We'll definitely see you here again in the future.
Thank you.
We'll have Fernando come up and kind of give us a timeline on everything.
Chair, Vice Chair, and members. So the timeline, basically, it'll be, we get an application for a minor general plan amendment. It'll come before you in conjunction with their zoning map change and preliminary development plan. So as soon as we get an application, we can probably schedule this for your next meeting. So really, the timeline is going to be on the applicant's side. As soon as they get us an application, we'll move forward and schedule it.
So we're talking the January meeting. This could actually come back.
More than likely, it'll be the January meeting.
Okay.
Yes.
And if worst case scenario, February?
Exactly. One of the things that I am going to be asking the applicant is, as the applicant has a history on other storage units, traffic counts, and he's right, there is no Jasper Parkway to give us a count, but we'll get a letter from him stating what the general traffic is on something similar that he may already own, what the trip volume from the site is, so we can have that before you, and some type of elevation. Excuse me.
Okay. Commissioner Griffiths?
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Gonzalez, when an applicant applies for a minor general plan amendment, are there now a new set of signatures required, or is it just completing a paper application?
It's basically completing a paper application.
Okay.
And I noticed, and just for clarification, General Plan 2025 is no longer in effect. General Plan 2035 is now in effect.
That is correct. Yes, it has been ratified by the voters, and it is, and we're moving forward with it.
Okay. Any other questions of staff from the commission? Yes, we have to. Appreciate lady.
Mr. Gonzalez, do you have any criteria at all for applying for a general plan modification or change? I mean, you say fill out a form. Well, anybody can fill out a form.
Well, that's
So-
true, but it's usually in conjunction with a zoning map change or a preliminary development plan. Basically, it's more likely in conjunction. Kind of what we did here, we did a zoning map change application, but then we want to show what it is that we're rezoning it for, and that's the preliminary development plan. It just takes it one step further, saying we need a general plan amendment in conjunction with the rezoning application. So it kind of all plays together.
Well, I noticed up north in Viewpoint that there was a group of people that went and got, I don't know, thousands and thousands of signatures to prevent a general plan change. Not that it meant anything, but they did it. And are you going to take something like that into consideration when you're talking about a general plan change?
Well, what they did is actually it was a rezoning application, and the general plan amendment was in conjunction with.
Okay.
The signatures were not really for the general plan, it was for the rezoning of the property for higher density. They wanted, for the project you're talking about, they wanted to put higher density homes instead of what was already approved.
Right.
And that was the reason for the signatures.
Okay. I just want to be clear as to what the process is going to be.
And I appreciate it, thank you.
And Fernando, one of the things that brought up, and I don't know if, we can discuss this publicly now, but why is it that the general plan is prohibiting that C3 use in this area? Do we know exactly why?
The reason is because the general plan has specific areas that they designate for certain uses, and the general plan in this area specifically outlines it for community commercial, which is something that's typically in the RS, C1 and C2, because as the applicant mentioned, there is so many rooftops in that area and residential. It's more or less to accommodate, because of the vicinity to the residential, it's to accommodate those uses and residential uses. Retail, convenience stores, barber shops, something that's in conjunction with the area. And that's why the general plan has those designations for industrial areas in certain areas of town, because they're further removed from the residential component.
Mr. Griffiths?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Gonzalez, does the applicant then have to go through another neighborhood meeting process if they're going through a minor general plan amendment, or not?
That is a good question. I've slept since I've read the application. I'm wanting to remember that they will be required to do a neighborhood meeting, but they've done one already, but they will be required to do another one.
So it is a possibility, because of the time frame and due to the holidays, that we may not see this till February at that point.
February, that's
Okay.
true. Depending on the applicant when they schedule the meeting.
Absolutely, but that's just something to
Right.
keep in mind.
But again, I'll have to go back and relook at that application. I know for a fact that the zoning map change, it is a requirement for them to do that. And I'll have to go back and look at the other one.
And would you please let the commission know if a neighborhood meeting is required?
I will have an email sent out to everybody.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Rutherford?
I would suggest that a situation like this is where we do our homework and look at the state law and the plan that was just approved, because and our zoning ordinances, because these provide criteria for why we change things. And each case requires different criteria, and it's
Absolutely.
up to us to know what they are.
Speaking of which, there was a request. Would you be able to, I don't know if everyone has their final copies of the new general plan, but would you get us new copies?
We have it on disk or
Okay.
USB. Would you like each of you, we can mail you an USB?
I have no idea. I think I gave it to somebody actually who wanted a copy, so.
Need to get it to the chairman.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I know I gave my copy to another person. But I know, Commissioner Lady and, Commissioner Evans being new, it would be great, if we even had that.
We can mail you a USB copy of the general
Even if there's
plan.
hard copies, they're available as well?
We don't have that many hard copies left.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the price on those went up to $100 a piece. So we were limited on the number.
Well, someone was asking for it.
Can read through
And,
the-
I mean, it was being,
But we definitely have USBs, so
That would
we'll
be very
email those
helpful.
out.
anything else for staff from the commission? All right, seeing no other comments, we'll bring it back. And we're going to have to take this two votes. Is there a motion to table zoning map change 22-008?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion to table zoning map change 22-008.
Is there a second?
I'll
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Rutherford,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Evans,
Yes.
Commissioner Griffiths,
Yes.
Commissioner Laney,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Rankin,
Yes.
Chairperson Zercher.
Yes. Is there a motion to table preliminary development plan 22-010?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to table preliminary development plan 22-010.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Rutherford,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Evans,
Yes.
Commissioner Griffiths,
Yes.
Commissioner Laney,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Rankin,
Yes.
Chairperson Zercher.
Yes. So moving on, we do still have call to public consideration and discussion of comments from the public. Those wishing to address the Planning and Zoning Commission need not request permission in advance. Action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter or rescheduling the matter for further consideration and decision at a later date. Is there anyone wishing to address the commission? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the commission for a motion to adjourn. Before we do, I just want to wish everyone happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year, and definitely we'll see you next year. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Make the motion to adjourn?
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We stand adjourned. Thank you.